Welcome to Soul Therapy with Chelle. I am Chelle Griffin and I practice as a soul doula. I combine therapeutic knowledge and lived experience with a healthy dose of spiritual exploration. Feel welcome to join me as we learn and grow together, exploring the magic and wonderment of experiencing life on earth as a spiritual being. And you've joined us for part 2 of our episode with Rachael Coops, author of The Art of Forgiveness. Now, if you didn't catch part 1 of my discussion with Rachael, jump out now and go back and find part 1, recorded and published last week. And if you are waiting for part 2, here you go. We really dive in and explore all the aspects of forgiveness and connection and our limiting beliefs associated with progression and growth and moving forward. I really hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed my chat with Rachael. I was thinking of when I was reading that section of the women in the world today versus when we were younger girls, younger women ourselves. And you touched on that when you were becoming a mum for the first time. That's hard enough, but without the support of a partner and then being the only income earner for your newly created family, you can't just leave the baby behind and go to work or go get food. It's all on you. And I think of our generation, we grew up in that sort of seeing all the rise of feminism and the reclamation of womanhood and seeing our mums like going to work, but they were still responsible for putting every meal on the table, for keeping the house spotless, for managing the entire household. There wasn't this sort of balance of responsibility that has been evolving over time, that's still not fully there yet, obviously. But also we were seeing when we started working full-time in these male-dominated industries and having a male boss who, would treat us that we were just this lowly woman. What would we know? So constantly getting told from every direction that, well, you're just a woman. What would you know? And we're convinced that, well, our mothers and their generation worked so hard for us to have this choice to go to work. And so it's our responsibility to dive in and take the bull by the horns and become this superwoman, thinking ahead and getting all the towels and lying them on the hotel floor so that you can spare their carpet cleaning expenses and keep your baby comfortable and safe without the added worry of your baby being unwell and vomiting, but also having to work when your baby is only 4.5 months. There was no choice in that. You have to return to work. Being told you need to take 3 months off at least to be well. That only really happens with a very serious health diagnosis like cancer or heart disease or something nowadays. And even then we still cram in chemo sessions or doctor's appointments around our busy lives because we get convinced that we're the provider and we have to keep the family stable. Where am I going with all this?
Well, I'm thinking burnout. It's like, and then we beat ourselves up.
Yes.
How on earth can you be in one piece and be perfect at anything when you're doing everything?
Everything.
It's just not possible.
Of course you need 3 months to rest. Of course you have chronic fatigue. Of course you're exhausted. You're already a new mum. That's guaranteed exhaustion. The sleep cycle is just insane. And you don't have a support system within the home that you can go, I actually just need to go to bed for a few hours. Can you take over? Doing that all on your own. No wonder you needed that break. And I can imagine so many women, like I know in my own story, my marriage ended, my daughter passed away shortly after, and I moved to a new city. And I was staying with a friend. It took me 3 weeks for me and my young son to get to the new city. I'm leaving all that I knew behind and not knowing what was ahead for me. And within 24 hours, I was in hospital with acute tonsillitis, because that's what my immune system would do whenever I was burning out and on empty. And I still didn't fully rest. I was like, as soon as I got out of hospital, I was like, well, now I have to find somewhere to live. I need to get a job. I need to get my son sorted in childcare and get all the things sorted. We just go on autopilot. We don't know until down the track that we can look back with hindsight and go, oh my God, I just needed to go to bed for 3 months and have someone else feed me and someone else look after my baby for a little bit so I could just come back above the waterline.
Mm.
So I really resonate with your sharing. That's beautiful, powerful work that you did there. And yeah, it's that that higher emotional suppression leads to higher mortality rates. And if we don't recognize those alarm systems before it's too late, yeah, we're inadvertently shortening in our lifespan as a result, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing, is that you're right. It's not about denial. Like, forgiveness is not saying this suffering has been caused by someone or something, and I'm just going to put it to the side and forgive. Because we also know that, as you say, that directly affects denial, directly affects mortality rates. And so it's not about that. It's not about denying your experience. I think it's so important to feel what you have to feel and in the appropriate way, because there's traumatic experiences, as you would know in your work, in the research that I did, where it's actually not appropriate to sit in memories for long periods of time for some people. And that's why some of these amazing modalities like EMDR have come out. And I guess the work you're doing as an intuitive healer and other intuitive healers, I know that often sitting with something in that way and ruminating on it in order to get past it is not the answer. Sometimes it is. And there's a readiness in whoever is arriving at that process and going, okay, I'm done with this, reliving this. But I think for most people, there's this feeling of, oh, well, forgiveness means I have to sweep it under the carpet. And it's not that. It is absolutely seeing, like, head on that pain and that suffering and kind of working through, what do I have to do in order to move past it? And there's so many different things you can do depending on where you're at. And for some people, it might be rest and recuperation. And for some people, it might be having a difficult conversation and saying, I can't keep doing this. For some people, it might be setting a really big boundary. And for others, it may be self-care might look very different to a traditional understanding of self-care. So I do think that so much of our mental well-being comes down to not letting things go, and whether forgiveness is the answer or whether the attachment is actually about something else. It just depends on every single individual circumstance. But certainly, to echo what you said, many, of course, parents across the board, but so many women I know right now in this stage of life where the mental load is extraordinary. Generally, they've had more big health issues than partners. They've taken on more of the load of aging parents and small children or teenagers.
While going through their own change of life as well.
Going through their own change of life. So then that's a whole other thing. The chemistry of the body has changed so fundamentally where actually it's not possible to do as much as I used to do, and yet I sort of have to do more. So I think it's a lot. It's a lot. And for me, a big part of what can I do is I do beat myself up about things not being done well enough and having to rely on people, having to rely on other people, for other parents or family members to, when you really need it, like just pick up the load on something. And that's something that I can work on, that forgiving myself for being imperfect and forgiving myself for needing other people. That's directly something that I can work on in my life, which I think through the process of writing this book is the first thing I kind of came to the end and was like, it is a lot. It's this stage of life. And how on earth can any of us be doing it well in the world today? I just don't think it's possible. And when people have said to me, how do you do everything you do? Like, it's so impressive. And I think, and I always say, I'm like, it's an absolute shit show. It's a cluster. There is no, when there's not something where I'm like, the wheels fall off in tiny or big ways. And it's messy, it's messy, but that's okay because I've chosen the path that I've chosen. I have so much meaning. I get so much meaning from everything I do. And from being a single parent, I wouldn't be who I was if I hadn't walked that path. And if I didn't walk that path now, as much as none of it is perfect, it kind of is perfect for me. I think I'm exactly where I was meant to be. And of course I have my days. And I think this is the other thing that so many women I know at my age kind of go through is, am I on the right path? I have this second chapter in a way, and do I want to keep going down this road? Is it in the next stage of life as kids get older and eventually are going to, hopefully we raise them to be independent and not need us at all, then what? And so whether it is, am I in the right partnership for this next chapter? Am I in the right work for this next chapter? Are we in the right city? Do we want to make a move? I think that is very prevalent. And so some of the stuff that comes up when you're working through forgiving yourself and others is great intel, because Pema Chodron talks about this. Resentment is and hatred is quite addictive because it makes us feel quite powerful. So when we are in a situation and we're just hating our situation, and we're hating a relationship, or we leave a work environment or a social environment feeling drained because the energy vampires have sucked us dry, it's such great intel. It is such great intel for us to go, what can I change? What can I not change right now? It's really good. It's good information. And whether, I know that I'm saying this from a place of privilege, I'm always really conscious of that not everyone is in a situation they can change. Let's be honest about that. And I 100% understand that. But many of us we can make little and big changes. It's probably really appropriate that everyone feels like they're in the pressure cooker at this point in life to go, oh, okay, do I want to be doing this in the next chapter? Do I want to keep taking on all the mental load? And if not, then how do I change that? And I certainly have said to, Gabe, my son is 12 now, and we've gone through this great phase lately of him taking on a lot more responsibility. And because I'm literally like, I can't keep doing it all. And you're at an age where you really need to be doing more. And he wants to do more.
He gets to see that some days are a shit show. And I had a similar experience on the weekend. I was on a deadline and my daughter wanted to have friends over for a sleepover. And I'm like, oh, that means I've got to vacuum, I've got to get groceries, I've got to clean the kitchen, mop the floors. I went, actually, no.
Yeah.
If you want your friends over, you can do all that, or you can at least help me out. And we were able to, share some responsibilities and also lower my standards and go, actually, these kids are not going to look at my floor. Oh, that's not spotless. They're not going to then run home to their families and go, oh my God, why am I wanting to put out this perception that everything's perfect, this facade, and run myself ragged to do so when I can actually model that some things take a higher priority. And for me, sitting down on the couch, working my way through this beautiful book was my priority. She still got to have her friends over, but no one sat there in judgment. No one was aware. The floors remain dirty, but life is still flowing, and we were able to have some beautiful connected conversations and laughs throughout the weekend without that pressure that we put ourselves under.
And I think
I think that's something our generation's learning.
Yes, and also like the reframing of it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be how it's always been.
Yeah.
And I had a big birthday this year, and I used to live in Paris. The second book is about my time in, well, actually going back the first time as an older person after living there in my late 20s and studying at clown school there. And I always wanted to take Gabe there. It's been a big, a dream for us, and I wanted to do it before he went to high school. So this was like our big trip, and it's been planned for a year, and we worked dates around make sure we could not miss things here and go there and all the rest of it. And of course, so many things came up. They changed the date of his school camp twice. So he was so looking forward to that, had to make the choice to miss that. Bunch of other stuff. And on the day that we were leaving, I tripped over in a car park, and it was a really nasty fall. I fractured my patella, my kneecap.
Gosh.
I had a chest injury. I had a very large hematoma, which is 6 weeks in, is still not completely healed. I had an x-ray last week.
Oh dear.
And I was in a brace. They put me in the brace. You have to keep your legs straight 24/7 until your kneecap heals. And so that happened the day we were leaving. And I got home, my sister was cat sitting, and she works in the ED, and she looked at it and said, you have to go to hospital. I'm like, no.
Gosh.
But so I had to make the choice if we would go or not. And we did go. And I just had to reframe what was possible on that trip. And then even when we arrived, and I realized how hard it was to get around either in Ubers or walking, I had to reframe again. And I was in pain, and I was tired the whole time, and we couldn't do as much, but we also couldn't. It was just not the Paris I wanted to show. But the beauty was, because I did have to keep reframing it, the beauty was that we had to have a lot of time sitting in cafes together talking, and we played cards, old school cards.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
We just had the slowest, most incredible time that we never would have here. So yeah, I just think that reframing thing is really helpful, both for, I don't have to keep doing things the way that I've always done them, but then also the rug is going to keep being pulled out in the most unpredictable ways. And the capacity I have to keep reframing and letting go of imperfection all the time, it directly determines how much I enjoy my day-to-day life. It just does. And how much I enjoy every experience. So that's been a real learning curve for me this year, but also lots of aha moments around that.
And coming into that space, like in going on your trip, it wasn't at that faster pace. So you had that space to really be present and like literally immobilized. And okay, I'm in Paris, but I can't go too far. Noticing your surroundings and feeling the gratitude of still being able to be there and experiencing it in a different, if anything, more magical way, because you've got that connection time with your son, and you could share the stories of the city while you were there, which is
and
just
he had
magic.
to do a lot more. He had to,
Step
to your
up.
point before, he had to wrangle the bags the whole time and wheel me around the Louvre, and
Which is better learning than going to school camp. He would have learnt life skills, and that's one thing we tend to not worry about school impacting on holidays either. Just you're going to learn so much on a trip, more than you do sitting in the classroom for that period of time. What a gift this has been. I could go on forever. This has been such a beautiful conversation. I'm so grateful. There is so much that we haven't even touched on. We could do another episode, but I'm just so thankful that you showed up today, Rachael. For our listeners, go grab yourself a copy of The Art of Forgiveness, where you can let go and find peace, by Rachael Coops. It is such a beautiful little treasure chest for you to work your way through and learn more about yourself and love yourself and those around you as if we're all one big family, which we are. And you have done a beautiful job of bringing in all the different philosophies and religious beliefs and mythology. I really enjoyed the storytelling and how you connect it all back to forgiveness. It's such gorgeous, all these gold threads on the front are just perfectly imperfect. It really well done job. Now I'm gushing.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved our chat.
You're so welcome. Thank you for showing up for yourself by listening to Soul Therapy with Chelle. Feel welcome to subscribe to my podcast, share the pod with your friends, family, colleagues and neighbours, and please, if you are willing, I would absolutely love a 5-star review to give my little pod a boost in the algorithms. For further detail on how to work with me, please visit my website www.chellegriffin.com or find me on the socials. I hope you'll join me on my next episode. Till then, go gently and intentionally. With care, Chelle.